Well, welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and today's trivia theme is Dynasty in Focus, the Golden State Warriors 2014 to 2019. Now,
Okay,
Russ seems to know the history of the Warriors, so we're going to see just how much he does know when we ask these questions. And when we come back, we're going to cover a few things.
Hey, Russ, Edward just wants to embarrass us.
No, you know what? I'll tell you, these questions are not quite as easy as you think. But again, we're not going back to the beginning of time, right? Because it's 2014 to 2019. But they are a little bit on the challenging side. Like, what was David Lee's favorite color? And what restaurant did he like to go to on Friday nights? Silence.
I would have known that.
Yeah. No, it'll be a little easier now. And when we come back, there's a few topics I have here. One is boxer Jake Paul declared to fight despite he saying that he had early signs of CTE. Oh, it's kind of interesting topic. LSU scrubbing running back Darius Geis from the record books. I want to mention a quick thing about LeBron's tweet that I think could be maybe have been taken out of context, but you'd have to ask him to check. But I'm gonna give him some credit on something here. Trevor Lawrence signing an endorsement deal with cryptocurrency, and Kelly Oubre about distracting free throws from opposing players. I just want to get your feet on that, you guys. And then also the 49ers draft picks be very kind of interesting. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding over 7%, secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Okay, first thing I wanted to actually touch on. So, LeBron was getting quite a bit of heat when he tweeted, quote, "You're next," by, after the police officer killing the 16-year-old girl and all that. And I was just kind of wondering if maybe rather than "you're next," meaning like, someone's going to get you, copper, if maybe he was basically still trying to go like, you look at the cop and the cop's saying to somebody else, "You're next." You know what I mean? Go ahead.
You're talking about this is the tweet that he deleted,
right? Yes, correct.
Yeah. I thought it was in the wake of Derek Chauvin. And in the case of this other case, you're next.
Interesting. Okay, that's a third case.
We got Chauvin, and now you're next. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. You know what? I never thought about that.
You're talking about the police officer that thought she had a taser but used a gun instead, right?
No. Actually, this is the one. This is the one who killed Micaiah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he killed a 16-year-old who was apparently attempting to murder two other young black girls.
She had the knife in her hand.
She had the knife in her hand. Yeah. So that's still a very good point, though. It still could have been in reference to Derek Chauvin, meaning, you're next. Like, okay, we got Chauvin, and now you're next. Yeah. Rather than it being, some pundits, I guess you call them, were kind of attacking LeBron like, you're inciting violence. But like how you analyzed it, that's not inciting violence at all. Or in my case, it's also kind of when I was looking at it and going, well, maybe he's pretending to be the police officer saying, okay, who's next on the line that I'm going to get?
Yeah, I took it. Well, I took it as if LeBron had his stat sheet and he was keeping stats. Okay, Chauvin.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Minnesota cop.
Yeah.
Okay. This one. Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
That's how I took it.
That's because you always take the high road. You go, what's the easiest? No, I mean, I'm not.
I am glass half full. But,
yes, exactly. Yeah. I you know what? That's I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad I asked this question because I didn't look at it that way, but I think I could easily see that probably is how he meant it. Okay, moving on.
But at the same time, he's trying to protect his brand And so I can understand why he certainly deleted it. You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's dangerous to talk about this in a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways stuff like this can be misconstrued, and a lot of pitfalls can happen when you just sort of make a statement like that. So I don't know. I think that maybe, you know, for a lot of athletes, it's better to move on and to just say justice was done with Chauvin, and, you know, these other cases, they're going to have to, you know, there's just not enough facts that have come out on all these other cases to make a statement yet exactly who's responsible.
Good. Yeah, that's a very good point.
And we're not even allowed at CBS. We're not even allowed to even comment on stuff like that without some sort of approval. Higher management on anything like that, or controversial, or whatever.
Just not enough. We just don't know enough. I mean, in the Chauvin case, you know, that was all played out, and, you know, everyone had the, you know, their day in court, and it was
the jury
fairly adjudicated.
How many times do we, you know, we don't know unless you're actually in the courtroom to hear all the testimony, and so you have to kind of trust that the jury is going to do the right thing. You know, we all we get.
Oh no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't trust that the jury is going to do the right thing. You can pray that the jury is going to do the right thing.
But I guess
you can't trust in it.
Well, I guess trust is not a good word, but basically as compared to whatever media feeds you, right? Because that's I'm not in Minneapolis. I'm not a witness to it and any of that stuff. So
and not to change the subject, and it's a heavy subject. In the football vernacular, it's sort of kind of a similar gray area type thing, because we have all this hearsay. Okay, we have all this, you know, Adam Schefter said this. Well, this columnist said that, and we have all of that, but we're not at, say, like the 49ers. We're not at you know, we're not at these teams. We don't know what goes on in the day-to-day operations. These guys evaluate players for a living. We had a meeting with John Lynch the other day, and he said they went through over 600 draftable players for the upcoming draft. And of the 600, maybe 20% of them they met in person. To talk to them and all this. It did all the research. I mean, they do all this stuff. But I was joking with a beat writer, because, you know, we're like, well, the football fan out there, they'll go out and they'll put in a full day of work, come back and still think they know more than John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
Well, and it's interesting because you're sort of like, I look at you in between John Lynch and us, right? Because you have more knowledge than us, because you're talking to them, and even you're admitting you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
No, absolutely. I mean, NFL exec told me years ago, we will let you see and we will let you know what we want you to see. Well, and that's very true. All we are, pretty much, whether it's a radio talk show host, us, the day-to-day sports within the framework of newscast, we are a direct connection to the fan base. That's us.
Yeah. Well, and part of that is too, you know, I wouldn't want my, you know, other teams knowing what I know. So that's very important to keep that to the vest. It's very similar to when, like, wait, hold on. When you have a situation where, like, as an example, you know, Scott, who is the guy who killed his wife and baby? Scott Peterson, right?
Peterson, yeah.
And originally, you know, like all of us watching whatever we're watching, and we're going, of course it's the husband, he's guilty, blah, blah, blah. And the police come out and say, no, at this point we've interviewed him and he's not a suspect. Well, of course they're smart. They're telling us that so that he relaxes, so that they can go after him. I mean, they always knew he was a suspect. But us watching TV go, police, how can you be so stupid? You know, of course you know.
and like TV, Edward, I mean, can't you solve this in an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, what I was going to say is that's what makes sports the great equalizer. in a lot of ways, is that, you know, you don't know the plans any better than I do, or that, you know, Vern does, or anything like that,
Yeah.
because the you know, the coaches and the managers and so forth, they don't want the other side to know. So we're all kind of at that knowledge disadvantage, and we're all start at the same sort of, you know, point zero about this stuff, and so it makes everybody's opinions kind of worth something, because
Yeah.
we all don't know what we're talking about in that sense. So that's one way I've always felt sports conversation has this great equalizing feature, that like everybody's opinions can be good if they kind of know what they're talking about, because nobody really knows exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you see certain things that a coach doesn't see, and some vice versa. So I get it. All right, guys, we're going to go to our first trivia question. Golden State Warriors Dynasty in Focus, 2014 to 2019. You ready? In May 2014, the Warriors appointed Steve Kerr as their new head coach. Prior to this, star point guard Stephen Curry was a starter in the 2014 NBA All-Star Game. Who had been the last player to achieve this? And extra points if you can give me the year. All right.
Wait, so the last Golden State Warrior?
Yeah, last Golden State Warrior to start an NBA All-Star Game.
All right.
All
I
right.
think I know the answer.
All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question. In May 2014, the Warriors appointed Steve Kerr as their new head coach. Prior to this, star point guard Stephen Curry was a starter in the 2014 NBA All-Star Game. Who had been the last Warrior player to achieve this?
We'll let Russ go first.
I am going to say Baron Davis.
Oh, no, that would have been a good guess. But this is, I think it's before him. I don't think he was a starter. I'll give you the year.
Wait,
I'll give you the year. 1995.
95.
And okay, here's one more.
Oh, okay. But was it?
I was going to say Latrell Sprewell.
Yes. Yes, Latrell Sprewell.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to turn down that $100 million offer because I got to feed my family. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
But they must be golden pancakes and stuff. Okay. So LSU scrubbing running back Darius Geis, who was a second-round pick for the 2018 Washington football team, from the record books due to domestic violence charges in August 2020, as well as being accused of assaulting 2 women when he was a freshman in 2016. So I got a question for you guys. You know, obviously I'm not condoning any of this, you know, the violence and all that stuff, but I'm just kind of curious, you know, how far back do you go? Where do you stop on stuff like this? I mean, you know, because then I'd say, you know what, go back to Cap Anson, get rid of him because he was such a racist, you know? I mean, what do you choose? Is it only going to be a violence type, a domestic type thing? How far back do you go? I mean, obviously there's 2 different things here, because there's what happened in 2016 and what happened in 2020. But kind of interesting, because August 2020 he was already with the Washington football team.
Right.
So
right.
How do you say, well, now what he did as a profession? I mean, are they going to, let's say O.J. Simpson, are they going to go back and Galileo High School and USC and get rid of all the record books on that? I mean, what do you guys think about?
I'll go first. I'll go first because I'm sure Russ has a lot to say, especially from a legal standpoint. And that said, I think you have to trust the legal process. I know this young man was charged. Was there resolution from this, or is it still pending? I don't know.
I think it's still pending.
Yeah. So with it still pending, I don't think you can erase everything. Is LSU saying, well, no, we're doing it, or we're considering doing it?
It sounds like they've decided to do it.
They have decided to do it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know the administration. I don't know. I don't know the exact facts. I do know LSU is part of the SEC, which is religion in that state of Louisiana. Maybe they have more information than we do for them to step up and do this kind of thing. But I'm one of those guys that wants to trust the legal process
Yeah.
before I make a decision like
Okay.
that.
So
And in the case of OJ,
yeah,
in the court of law,
he was
he
acquitted.
was exonerated. So OJ's Heisman Trophy at USC, all those things. I mean, they still stand.
We'll say. So you actually do draw the line at being accused and then being convicted. So if he's convicted, would you then go back and
Then go ahead if you
Really?
feel like that's the right thing to do.
Wow. Okay, and leave it up to
Well-
each school, or
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that, I mean,
yeah.
they're the ones that are in control of all the record books and what goes.
Yeah,
They can do whatever they want.
that's it. That's a good point. Mr. Jackman, what are your comments on that?
Well, you don't really have a right to be in a record book. That's not necessarily something that has to do, when you sign up to be part of the student, athletic, say to sign up to be on the football team or the basketball team, you do have to sign an agreement that talks about your code of conduct and how you will, uphold a certain level of behavior. And that puts you on notice that if you were to go later in life and do things that compromise the reputation of the school doesn't necessarily want to be affiliated with, think about like guys like Ray Caruth, for instance.
Yeah.
You don't want to be associated with that. You don't want people saying, "Oh yeah, and he went to," I forgot where Ray Caruth went, University of Florida, something like that. You don't want your school being brought up when they talk about some horrific person who is a murderer or child abuser or something like that. You want to get that out of your reputation. There's no obligation that you have as a school to be affiliated with someone that you don't want to be affiliated with.
Yeah, that you guys make a really good point.
Say that,
Yeah. I mean, this is
I think that something like this, and it goes back to good old Beretta, where you say, "Don't do the crime
if you can't do the time."
That's right.
Well, it's the same thing also like Pete Rose, not going into the record book. Well, I guess, is he still in the record book?
I could do a whole show on Pete Rose.
Well, I know, but hold on. But okay, so he's not in the Hall of Fame, still. But is he in the record books?
I think his records still stand, though. He's just not in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yes. Same with Barry Bonds and all that stuff. But
yeah.
Again, we could do a whole other show.
Yeah, that's a whole other. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to something a little bit less aggressive. So I was watching some highlights of, or actually seeing them in the news. So Kelly Oubre of the Warriors. There is a player, an opposing player who didn't have a very good free throw percentage. So he decided to, kind of move his legs, kind of dancing around a little bit at the line as the guy's making three throws, and he misses both of them. And they specifically pointed it out in like Yahoo News, Sports, or something like that. And I'm kind of thinking, it's like, why can't it be just like golf, where, guys at the free throw line, he should be allowed without any distraction. I understand the fans will do whatever they're going to do, but even then, it's funny. Golf fans aren't allowed to yell and scream while the guy's doing a shot.
No, that's golf, though.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's all heckling the player during a free throw is a time-honored tradition.
Okay, but by the fans, not by
part of the game of basketball.
Not by other players, though. I mean,
you're not supposed to be distracted.
Carl Malone was at the line in a playoff game, and then Scottie Pippen went up to him and said, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sunday. And the game was on Sunday, and then Malone missed the free throw.
Hey, it's a good thing you didn't pop him one right there.
It's all. And Karl Malone, I was actually going to bring up Karl Malone because he was one of the worst defenders when it came to standing around at the free throw line. And also, do you remember Patrick Ewing? How Patrick Ewing would have this weird, like, stop. He would bring his arms up. He would look like he was just about to shoot the free throw. And then he would wait, and he would wait.
Yeah.
He would wait like 5 or 6 seconds and then let go. And guys would be falling all over themselves.
Yeah. Because they're trying to get they're trying to get in position for the rebound. It's a good ploy.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of foul.
It's part of the. I mean, otherwise, practice. Guys can't get in position for the rebound if you pass a roll like that. So you know what? I say no. I say that you have to be able to be distraction free when you got to be able to put that stuff out of your mind when you're shooting a free throw.
Okay, then I say that you have the right to. I say then also you have the right to block the shot. And goaltender.
Well, no, you don't. You don't. You're not. You can't leave the line. You can't go inside of the key itself.
Okay, so how many? So
you can't touch the ball when it's.
Okay, so tell me then how many?
You should be able. If you want to do jumping jacks or whatever crazy, stick your finger in your nose.
Okay, so then why don't people do? Why don't more players do that then?
Because they're trying to get in position for the rebound, which is really what you should be doing.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're the guy closest to the free thrower, you're probably not going to get the rebound unless it bounces way off the rim.
You don't know. Yeah, that's exactly it. You don't know where the free throw is going to wind up, so you have to be paying attention to that. I would, to be honest with you, I'd rather have Kelly Oubre looking more towards who he's standing next to and how he can reposition himself for a rebound than I am that he's going to try to distract.
Well, no, when he's moving his legs like doing the old Charleston in the 1920s. Yeah. You kind of tell what he's doing. Okay, we're gonna go.
I don't think that's a rule violation. I'd say more to it, but I'd say watch out because if you're busy doing that kind of garbage, the player that's next to you is looking for the rebound.
Well, but also when you're ready to do free throws, it's going to come back at you. Okay, here's our second trivia question. We're talking the Dynasty in Focus, Golden State Warriors 2014 to 2019. Which player featured in the most regular season games for the Warriors in the 2017-18 season? All right. Which player featured in the most regular season games, and doesn't have to be a starter, okay? Which player featured in the most regular season games for the Warriors in the 2017-2018 season? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our second trivia question is kind of an interesting one. We're talking the 2014 to 2019 Warriors dynasty. We'll call them a dynasty. Which player featured in the most regular season games for the Warriors in the 2017-2018 season?
My thought was that right off the top of my head, the way you described it was Klay Thompson.
That's what I would have thought, but apparently I guess he was hurt for a few of those games.
I was thinking he did get that time where he was knocked upside down and landed on his head from Houston. He did miss like 5 games. So if it's not him, then the next one that I would say is...
I'll tell you, it's a player you wouldn't normally think. Yeah.
Pachulia?
No. I mean, you guys are going to be... I think I'm going to have to get... And apparently he only started eight times.
He only started 8 times.
He only started 8 times, but he at least he featured, which I assume means he at least showed up in the game. Or at least showed up on the bench. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, let me guess.
5, 4, 3.
Andre Iguodala.
2. No, again, somebody you wouldn't think of. Nick Young.
I was
Swaggy P. Swaggy
Wow, I had no idea.
That's a tough one. Yeah,
Wow.
I would never have guessed that one.
Swaggy P,
Wow.
most games played during that season.
Yeah,
Wow.
featured
Okay.
in the most regular season games. All
You
right.
got us with that bit of trivia. I'll give
Yeah,
you
that was,
I
yeah.
did. So okay, so boxer Jake Paul cleared to fight despite saying he has early signs of CTE. Now, apparently he retracted the statement about the CTE, but I'm kind of looking and going, man, a lot of football players have, retired because of it and all that. And, you got to think that a boxer obviously is going to be more prone to CTE.
I
But
would like to know the context with which he made this statement. And
that's a
then
good point.
after he made it, what, he backpedaled a little bit from it? Is
Yeah,
that right?
he said apparently he said he's got early signs of CTE. I don't know if that meant he
Oh.
was confused many
Yeah,
times
because
or what.
I thought that they couldn't tell you had CTE until they dissected your brain after you were dead.
Yeah.
Is that right? What are the people?
Yeah, well, they can't really.
I mean,
That's why.
there's got to be symptoms though ahead of time, right?
Yes,
Again,
there
I'd like
are,
to know the
obviously.
context.
Obviously.
Maybe this was an answer to a question, a reporter's question, and maybe something he couldn't remember or something like that, and maybe he just might have made a joke. Man, I think I got early signs of CTE. And
Oh,
then
I don't know. It sounded pretty serious,
you
but you're
you
right.
just
Okay.
don't know. You just don't know where and what the context was of that sound.
Okay, fair enough. We'll just move on then. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence signed an endorsement deal with Blockfolio. I don't even know who that is.
I don't even know what Blockfolio is. What is it?
It's got to be something like Bitcoin or something, some kind of cryptocurrency.
Okay,
And
I'll look it
apparently,
up.
so he signed the deal with the cryptocurrency app, getting paid bonus in crypto. Blockfolio paid $135 million to secure the naming rights to the Miami Heat arena for the next 20 years. I mean, there's got to be
Edward, Edward, you're
Yes.
the money guy.
Yeah,
You feel a little weird about all these made-up currencies that just
absolutely.
have.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I do. I mean,
Tell us about it.
well, it's kind of crazy. I mean, Bitcoin hit like 60 something $1,000, and this whole big thing about, well, it's only because there's so many in the world. Well, hey, there's only one Edward Brown in the world, so I must be worth quadrillions of dollars. I mean, I could just make up a cryptocurrency, and it all has to do with being accepted by other people. So if I want to
Right.
invent the Edward Brown cryptocurrency and convince people, hey, this is just as good as money, well, then I guess it'll go somewhere. I mean,
It reminds me of comic books. It reminds me of comic books. Vern and I are collectors.
There's Edward's finance guy on the other line.
Yeah.
It's funny
Got
that,
some Bitcoin to sell you.
that's right. That phone hardly ever rings. I mean, I think partly you get guys like Elon Musk and other big hitters who have bought into it, but I just
But
don't.
there's no backing behind
I know.
it. I mean, don't you think there's going to be some kind of bubble pop, just like we saw
Yeah.
with the .com stuff, where people were buying stocks in companies that
That had no
absolutely
value.
No value.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
unless the United States government basically endorses it and backs it, because we're off the
But
gold
then that would
standard.
kill Bitcoin. That's the whole idea, is that it's not government backed. So it's like the very thing that you say that would legitimize it would actually kill its viability.
Huh.
So,
Interesting. Yeah, very possibly. But if you think about it, when we went off the gold standard, in theory, many years ago, they would print money that was backed by the amount of gold that they had, Fort Knox, et cetera. And then eventually they went off the gold standard, and it's just the promise by the United States government to put more gasoline in the engine that cranks out the money. Which, by the way, they say money doesn't grow on trees, and they're correct, because money is not made out of paper; it's made out of cotton. So I had a little bit of interesting trivia for you there. But it's funny too, because even gold, right? I mean, gold is used as money mostly because there's a finite amount of it. It's pliable, so you can make it into coins, and it's you can carry it around. But the reality is, I mean, we don't use gold that much as for its utility anymore. For gold fillings and stuff like that. Yeah, there's some things that you actually use gold for, but there's synthetic stuff that you can use instead. So it's all an illusion, really. You know, same thing with paper money. It's, you know, I got paper money and Vern will accept it because he does, right?
It has value. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has value only because we sort of invented that it has value.
And speaking of value,
Yeah.
isn't kind of Trevor Lawrence maybe betting on himself? Because if he goes out there and plays the season, and let's just say he's a star, doesn't the value of what he's endorsing go up?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And the
And then,
thing is,
then if he crashes and burns, then, well, I don't care what he invested in. I mean, I'm
well,
not going there.
yeah. Well, the interesting thing, it says that he signed the endorsement deal with cryptocurrency, but and he got paid a bonus, and I don't know if I don't remember if it's a signing bonus or bonus within the cryptocurrency part. You know, like
Probably it's a signing bonus, and he gets X amount of cryptocurrency in his account.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I got to think that he accepted
his name.
He accepted real money though when he's signing, you know, for a team. But
exactly. So that shows you how much he truly trusts the cryptocurrency.
That's right. Yeah. And also,
you know,
I mean, you know, we don't like, you and I don't really care that much about the value of the dollar unless we're going to like go traveling overseas, right? I mean, a loaf of bread costs $1. It costs $1 whether, you know, Europe has valued it up or down. But cryptocurrency gets traded. I mean, it was not too long ago where Bitcoin was at 5,000, and it went all the way up to 65,000. Now it's, I don't know, 50-something thousand dollars. But yeah, what you can do with that. But here's the funny thing too. Originally, I think Bitcoin wasn't it supposed to be you could actually buy things with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me now, who accepts if I go to a Safeway and instead of whipping out a credit card or whipping out cash, I whip out Bitcoin?
Pay for a loaf of bread and Bitcoin?
Yeah.
No.
So all it really
but
is,
big purchases. There are a lot of big purchases you can make. People are selling cars and even houses through Bitcoin.
Yeah,
so,
that's
you know,
true.
it's not for going to the grocery store, but if you want to buy a yacht, you want to buy drugs, lots of drugs.
Yeah, because you can't.
You know that, but
or if you got one of those emails where.
Yeah, it's a major way for, you know, or, you know, ransom.
Yeah,
when you hold somebody for ransom, that's usually asked for in Bitcoin, you know, the payment now.
Well, and I even asked them, I responded to one of those. I said, I'll be glad to pay your extortion fee, but I don't have a Bitcoin account. I'm sorry. You'll get nothing instead. Yeah.
Right.
You want cash? No, you want Bitcoin? Sorry. I'll give you cash, but I won't give you Bitcoin. Oh, but you don't accept cash. You don't accept Bitcoin. Okay. Well, we're done here. Okay. Russell, you wanted to mention about the 49ers draft picks.
Yeah, well, right now, it's not necessarily who the Niners are going to draft. I'm sort of fascinated, and I'm sure, Vern, you are too, with the phenomenon of how this is sort of this waiting for Godot type situation. It was different when the Niners were drafting Alex Smith, and we sort of knew he was the number one player, and that was the default draft pick for you know, the best quarterback that was available at the time. But for the Niners to come out weeks ahead of time and say, we are drafting a quarterback, then to make the trade to move up in the draft and to do that sort of dramatic move. And now all the, you know, speculation and nasal gazing that's been going on for, you know, who the Niners are actually going to pick for the number 3 overall pick. I've never seen something like this in the Bay Area.
Well, the closest thing, of course, was the 2005 draft. It was the great debate: Alex Smith or Aaron Rodgers. It was going to be one or the other. And Mike Nolan ended up going with Alex Smith, and then we know the rest. In this particular case, and I'll just backtrack a little bit, when John Lynch was hired, he swore that organization to secrecy, to not release the statement that he had been hired until he had started the groundwork and done a little research, and then all of a sudden they had the press conference, and then John Lynch was revealed as the new general manager, and he said at that press conference, all these leaks, all this kind of stuff, no, it stops right here, and he's been a man of his word. And let's put it this way. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, guys like that just break everything and get it on Twitter before it actually happens. And they're almost 100% right. Even they were caught off guard when the Niners moved from 12 to 3. So when you move up to 3, you're not going for an offensive lineman. You know you're going for a quarterback, and they've admitted we're going to draft a quarterback. Now, we're just fascinated as to which quarterback that is going to be. And is it a smokescreen with Mac Jones? Is it Trey Lance, the guy that nobody's talking about? Is it Justin Fields? I mean, who is it? I mean, and I think if you're the Niners, you love that the fan base and all of us are talking about it, because it just puts the 49ers into more of the spotlight than it is. Now, when this show airs, we're going to know, because the draft, as we record this, is in 3 days or 2 days. And so I'm just as much in the dark as everybody else. My gut feel is Justin Fields, but I don't know. I honestly do not know.
And then would they draft somebody to trade, or when you get to the third round, they probably just no.
I
We're going to keep them.
I can't even say for an absolute certainty that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on this team by the end of the weekend.
Well, I hope that they trade. No offense to him, but I don't see him as a promising quarterback anymore. Hey guys, cutting to our third commercial break here. Trivia question: 2014-2019 Golden State Warriors. The Warriors lost. This was terrible for me. The Warriors lost the 2019 NBA Finals 4-2 to the Toronto Raptors. What player appeared in all 6 games? All right. That's our trivia claim.
What Warrior player appeared in all 6 games?
All 6 games, because remember they lost 4-2 to the Raptors. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question: the Warriors lost the 2019 NBA Finals 4-2 to the Toronto Raptors. What player appeared in all 6 games for the Warriors?
Steph Curry?
I thought it was Steph. I thought Steph played in all 6 games.
No. Quinn Cook.
Oh, man.
Quinn Cook. He didn't start in any of the finals, but he appeared in every single game.
Boy, these, I guess you don't realize.
Player.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good player, you know. Yeah, where is he? Where is he now?
Well, last I saw, he was on the Lakers roster.
Yeah, but barely hanging on.
Yeah, I think he got and whatever happened to Patrick McCaw?
Oh, he hasn't done anything either since the Warriors.
Boy, you know,
James Michael McAdoo.
Oh yeah, nah, he was nothing like his uncle, unfortunately. All right, are you guys ready for our thoughts for the day, or our puns for the day, as they say?
Always.
Okay, ready?
I'm holding my gut right now.
Okay. I tell you, next week I got some doozies for you. But this week, do origami artists fold under pressure?
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay, and what's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws?
The laws?
Outlaws are wanted.
For
those of you married and have in-laws, I wouldn't say that joke to them, all right?
By the way, Patrick McCaw last played for the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, yeah,
thank you.
But when was that?
Well, not this year. Probably last year.
Probably last year. Okay.
And Quinn Cook is with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
There you go. Okay, he's still playing. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, America.
Good night,
Adios.
Okay.